Namaste and welcome everybody to another episode of Rooted and Roaming podcast by India Abroad and Bharat TV. And today in this program, we are going to be discussing some immigration issues that we are having as a community in United States. And to talk about it, we have a special guest. But before we invite our guest, let me introduce quickly to our panel here who are with us. Uh, well, please welcome Lalit Jhaji. Lalit Jha is the founder of 5WH, virtual newsroom um, uh, portal. Lalit ji, welcome to the show.
आवाज नहीं आ रही है।
आपकी आवाज़ ठीक नहीं आ रही है, maybe. Then we also have Amitabh Mittal ji. Amitabh ji is a community leader, and he has been working with us for a long time with various organizations. Welcome to the program, Amit ji.
Namaste.
Namaste. And Nirav ji. He's also a community leader and a businessman and entrepreneur, very much involved in community events. And so, Nirav, welcome.
Namaste.
And now, welcome Parveen Medikundam ji. Parveen ji is an immigration lawyer. He did his master's in law from Temple Law School. And he's going to talk about some of the issues that we are, within the community dealing with. Especially...
Hello, I can't hear anything.
Hello, can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Yeah. Okay. So, Praveen ji is going to talk about some of the issues that, as a community, we are dealing with since, last few months, especially. See, the community has been dealing with the immigration issues for a long time. It was the 1965 law in the United States that's allowed a lot of non-European, especially the Indian Americans, immigrants, highly skilled immigrants, to come to the United States. And then after that, there has been a horde of people like us who came first as a skill, then people like us who came as our students, and then now we have second, third generation people living in the U.S. The immigration issue is very complex, and it's not a new issue. Some of the complexities are new because of the policy changes and the government changes, but the issue as such is not new. I don't know if you remember, even just 2 years ago, there were 600 working days delay in getting a visa appointment, right? And everybody knows about the backlog in green card and other visas. So it's not new, but definitely the last few months with some of the policy changes that have been made by the current administration has perpetuated some of the issues for us, especially in Americans. I was at the mandir today, at Grace Lake Mandir, and I met a father who, whose kids are, they are legal, all legal here, everybody, but because of the visa issues, he had to send his kids to study in India because, he can't get a loan and whatever else, other issues that. So everybody, we all have these kind of issues. So what I want you, Praveen ji, to do to start the conversation is to set the things in perspective. So what is, first of all, what is the issue here that has changed in the first thing is what are some of the issues that have changed in the last few months?
Right.
And then also, the second part that I want to ask you is that, a lot of talk about illegal and, violation of visa. So put that into perspective that even if I come here legally, what makes a violator of the visa rules?
Right. Namaste ji. Thank you for having me.
Okay.
Very
And
interesting.
also, please tell us about yourself, just
Yes.
briefly, if you don't
Yeah.
mind. I'm sorry.
Sure. Sure. I'm an immigration attorney, practicing since over 20 years, and I have my practice in Chicago with various branches. We have a branch in Dallas, Frisco, then we have in LA and South Carolina and New York. We have 11 attorneys working for the firm. I came here as a student, went to Temple Law School in Philadelphia, then met my business partner. We both are founding partners, Mr. Samuel. Then we started our practice because our passion was to help. And with our own immigration journeys, we got motivated that we should be doing this practice. And we really love helping community in doing whatever the way that we can. Then I also practiced as a company secretary in India before coming to the US with a little bit of corporate background. Then that helps a lot of businesses here to help and to provide mobility for the corporations and the people itself, like who are come here for work. So with that background, the questions are relevant, whatever that you're mentioning. Yes, the landscape of immigration has changed drastically. Then our understanding that the immigration here is for people with credentials, with talent, with skills to come here, contribute, and earn. And it was an American dream, right? So the same still holds good, but again, the current administration has different policies which change the perspective, and they say that they want best of the brightest. That's what the current tagline is. Then trying to curb on anything which probably crosses the line, and trying to actually put the rule of law as a priority. So with that perspective, I think there is a lot of unlearning and learning that the community has to be doing with the way that the administration is approaching. With that, there were actually few things that probably as a community we took things for granted because of lack of guidance, you might say, or lack of enough expertise. But since we are all coming together, then it's a time for us to learn those things and implement, so that way we abide by the rule of law and try to take the best of the immigration system. And I still believe that we coming from the Indian subcontinent are really capable of leading technology, engineering, STEM, and all the areas where it needs expertise. Then proper guidance would really help all of us to navigate this.
Very well put, Praveenji. So let me get straight to it. So what again? What makes me vulnerable as an immigrant, whether I am, the green card holder or whatever, to the current laws that we are, the administration is enforcing. And what are some of the ways, first thing first, to avoid getting into the hair laws hair, so to speak? And then when you get into the situation, what are some of the things that we should again take into account when we are already in the bad situation?
Right. So, violation of law, what is right, what is not right? That's the first thing that we all have to understand. Then, learning from somebody's experience is a different thing. But again, what exactly is your position? Like, because each case is different. Uh, we tend to, as a community, we tend to share knowledge, and sometimes there's a lot of misinformation which actually spreads.
Mhm.
So, obviously, if someone is here on a non-immigrant visa, any violation of law would be jeopardizing their immigration status, that we all have to know that. For
Mhm.
example, a student, a person on a visitor's visa, a person on a H1 or a L1, these are all non-immigrant visas which has a limited purpose to stay here, then try to serve the purpose, then they go back unless there is a green card sponsorship happening parallelly under the eligibilities that the particular visa type allows. So if there is a violation, for example, a non-immigrant visa holder violates the law by driving under influence, right? So that impacts their visa status. And this has been laid out not just today, but it's been there always.
Yeah.
Just that the current administration is just picking up to make sure they are implementing the rule of law, they're implementing the guidelines which are already there in the immigration laws.
Right.
So these were all ignored or otherwise properly not understood by people. Then it was always exempted or taken it as granted. So those are the things that which are surfacing up. And last year, if you have remembering that there were students whose status were actually terminated abruptly, like without any notice, because some of them had some kind of violations. Then again, ICE actually came back saying that these are minor violations which are tolerable. Then they actually put them back on status where people had serious grievances had to go back. So these are the things that we are supposed to understand, take professional advices. Then as a community, we need to share knowledge. That way we abide by the law.
Right. Another quick question before I turn it over to other panelists here. So I'm giving you a specific situation here. I came here, for example, as a student visa. Am I allowed to participate in a protest, of political nature? And if I am as a student or if I came as a visitor, am I allowed to sell my books here?
Very, very good question, which really addresses the current issues that we are facing. As a student, then you have the limited scope of going to the school, earning your degree, then of course getting a job or an on-job training to fulfill the education that you have been trying to pursue. Then yes, the free speech, the Constitution of United States allow you to actually have the free speech, but again, it's a box that Department of State can determine that somebody's outlook, somebody's opinion, if it is against the public interest and if has some kind of a tendency to put people under jeopardy or threatens the US citizens, then they have a discretion to cancel your visa, because that's a discretion. Any visa as such is a discretion. So there is a fine line between the free speech that we always claim versus going against something which might actually disturb the peace in this country. So probably they try to actually invoke their discretion, saying that your free speech or your expression might really jeopardize the peace in the place that you are in, and the Department of State steps in. So there is a fine line that we all have to follow and then try to understand what it is.
Yeah. I remember that we can draw a parallel in India also, that India has also revoked the OCI card of very, very prominent peoples and sent them back from the airport itself because of they somehow falsified the information on their visa. Okay, so having said that, now I turn it over to Lalit ji. Lalit ji, do you have any questions for Parveen ji?
Thank you for hosting this. So really appreciate inviting him as an eminent speaker on the show, on giving clarity to us and our viewers on H-1B and other immigration related issue. I wanted to ask you about what impact President Trump's policies on H-1B has made on those who are living here in this country on the H-1B visa, and what are the do's and don'ts for them?
Right. Yeah, this is a great question. Since September of 2025, there is a dramatic change in how the H-1Bs are filed and how an opportunity under H-1B can be sought for a person outside the US. So starting September 2025, any new H-1B which is filed, which is from abroad, not within the US, attracts a fee of 100K for the employer. So that's dramatic, that's drastic. So most of the employers would step back in sponsoring a H-1B because it's an exorbitant fee of 100K in getting an employee to work for them in the United States. But whoever has already been granted a H1B prior to September of 2025 is allowed to get extensions within the US, and there is no fee for that. Not only that, and any H1B which is filed even after September 2025 within the United States as a change of status, for example, somebody here on a H4 visa, on a L2 visa, on a L1 visa, or as a student visa, they can always change their status to H1 as long as they are validly staying here in the US and they get a H1B approved as a change of status within the US. But for whatever the reason, if the change of status gets denied and they are supposed to go outside the country for the stamping to come back, then 100K fee attracts to them. So that's the boundary. So whoever wants to actually get a H1B has to be actually staying in the US and trying to get the change of status or an extension or a transfer to a different company. So that's important change. In a way, just thinking practically, there are many people here, many students who have come here and they've been actually trying to get into the lottery. And I know students practically trying to get into the lottery 3 times, 4 times, very talented people. And the employers are well sought. They want their services, could not actually get them through the lottery. Probably putting this 100K might actually work as an advantage for people who are already in the US trying to seek H1B. Again,
That's
for any
interesting.
rule,
Yes.
sometimes there is unforeseen advantages and disadvantages. And as just a community member, I see an advantage for the people who are already in the US seeking H1B.
Very good point.
And
Do you have any follow-up, Lalitji, on that?
yeah, one quick one. If someone is on H1B, still he doesn't has to give 100K. But if he goes for renewal, still inside the country, what happens to them?
Right. They don't have to pay 100K and they can travel outside the country for the visa stamping. That's okay. The only point is that they have to get the approval while they are in the US as an extension of stay. So there are two things on a H1B. One is the classification itself as a H1, and the second thing is extension of stay. That means if they're already in a status here, whatever the status they are in, any non-immigrant status, that status gets changed to H1 and they are allowed to stay in the country. As long as you get it approved that way, as we just simply call it as a H1B getting approved with the I-94, has no 100K. Or for whatever the reason, they believe that there is a violation of your status, they still give you a H1, but they ask you to go outside the country for the stamping, then there is a 100K for that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Thank
got
you.
it.
Thank you
Thank you.
very much. We'll come back to you, Lalitji, again. But I'm going next to Neeravji. Neeravji, do you have any question for our guest?
Uh, yes, Praveenji, I have a couple of questions. It's more from the business side. We did connected back to the Mandir issue little while ago, and that's how we got introduced. And thank you and hats off to your work.
Yes, appreciate
Uh,
that. I
you
heard
work
about
very well, and
Neeravji's.
finally the Prest visa has been. Uh, they don't have to wait for 1 year after their finishing 5 year term, and they can come back. So thanks and heads off for your work. You have done the excellent job for the community and for the Hindu temples. We all appreciate that your help. So our business community people, they might be in part of some small or big violation in the business store. They have a wine shop. They sell to the to the minor accidentally, or some kind of checking came to them, and they find some violation. A lot of time, people are have a DUI or they have a traffic violation, but those are all either citizen or the green card holder. And the recently so many cases has come in the community. They have been stopped at the airport. They've been stopped, then they has been refused to entry in the country, and some of them has been sent to the detain center or the jail, and later on the court let them go. There will be no apology or anything, and they let them go. Some of them they did take the strong action. They refuse them and they send them back. Can you please focus on that? This is we feel like that this is completely injustice. The way they have been treat them, and they have been throw them in the jail. They are the highest taxpayer people, and nature of their business is this kind of violation.
Right. So, yeah, thank you, Neeraj.
Happened,
Yeah, it's a great question. This is what the community has been seeking help, and we hear this time and again. Yes, any green card holders or any citizens, when they have violations like this, because the jobs that they do has inherent risk of violations. For example, you run a restaurant, then you run a liquor store, then you run a store, a grocery store or something. These might have inherent risks in actually doing it. It might not be unintentional, right? It might not be intentional to do this kind of violations. So yes, any misdemeanors in general are excusable. So all we have to remember, number one, just as the threats that we see, that somebody might just arrest anyone. So you need to have a judicial warrant if you are inside a residence, inside a store, someone to actually come and arrest you. Even ICE or any immigration authorities should have a judicial warrants to do it. So you should always just remain indoors. Make sure that you have requested for a judicial warrant for them to do it. So, and you are okay to actually record if they are within your premises. That is legally allowed, even though the federal government actually gives certain kind of immunities for the immigration authorities, but the state laws enforce and you have those protections. So you got to be aware of those protections for yourself. And importantly, the crimes that you've been describing, DUI or selling liquor to a minor, or tobacco to a minor, for whatever the reason, because these are inherent risks involved, even though you have a good history of moral character. So these are called crimes involving moral turpitude. It's called CIMTs. So as such, any immigration violation, for example, any crime which has a jail term of more than 1 year or more than $10,000 of fine would impact your immigration if you are a green card holder, because still you are a permanent resident, and that's called a visa technically for the immigration purposes. A green card holder is also called as a visa holder, but it's a permanent nature. So that can be revoked if there is any violation which actually goes beyond what immigration rules specify. But none of these DUIs, unless there are multiple DUIs or multiple violations of selling liquors or any local ordinances, would not really attract the 1 year punishment of getting into jail. But still, the immigration authorities would push for it, because they say that, okay, this is the violation of your moral character and we want to judge it. So if at the port of entry someone is stopped for this kind of violation, you should always ask for what is called deferred inspection. Just always remember to ask for deferred inspection, request for an immigration attorney, then try to actually have your case scheduled, and that way we can defend you and you can defend yourself. Then again, taking away citizenship is not that easy. It has a judicial process, and no one can take your citizenship that way. So there is a difference between these kind of things. But yes, before traveling, all these things have to be addressed, making sure sometimes you are not actually serving your probation or informing the court to take a permission to travel abroad. So these are all important, because there are certain crimes which needs that kind of permission to travel. So otherwise there will be a warrant issued by the local law enforcement, and that actually jeopardizes your travel. So each situation is different. But these are all existing immigration laws which are just getting implemented strictly. That's all. Take it that way. Just that we are not aware of these situations. With proper guidance, I think you can always address and try to maneuver through this and then travel safely.
I have a quick question, Praveenji. Can you just briefly tell us the difference between a misdemeanor, a felony, and the third question I have is do immigrants or non-U.S. citizens have the benefit of the Miranda rights?
Right. Everyone has the benefit of Miranda rights for sure. That means you have right to remain silent,
Yes.
and you have right to counsel. Then you don't have to disclose or just give a statement which jeopardizes yourself. But the difference between a misdemeanor and a felony depends on what the state law says. So there are actually certain violations which are minor in nature, as you all know. So those minor violations are okay as long as the threshold is that the particular section, the particular provision of the state or the federal law does not put this person with the maximum punishment of more than 1 year in a jail term. or more than 10,000 as the fine. But what happens is if someone, for example, has an accidental or an intentional shoplifting, okay, this happens with the community sometimes unintentionally because you're just buying so many things. You are on the phone, you are with the kids, then they just try to forget to scan something, and there would be a violation because they think that okay, you're trying to get away without paying, and they have a fine of 100 or 300 or $500 based on the value of the products that you are taking. So this has an angle of a moral character. So because you have violated an immigration, a non-immigrant status, being on F1, being on a student visa, being on a visitor visa. So the immigration authorities are trying to push, saying that, hey, you violated your status, you have violated a law being in a non-immigrant status, then we have a right to take away your visa. That's what they're saying. But the immigration laws as such can protect, but the Department of State has the jurisdiction. So in a way, it's called a prudential violation, prudential revocation. So what is happening for the students and people who are in a B1, B2, if something of these things happen on a DUI or some case like this, they would get an email from the consulate saying that your visa is revoked. What that means is your visa, the sticker, the stamp that you have in the passport gets invalid. So that way, next time when you travel, you are supposed to go for the visa stamping and come back, but your stay is safe because the student's status is not revoked. Your CVC is still intact. You can check with the school. If you're an OPT, you can still continue to work. If you're in the school, you can continue to attend the school. But when you go outside the country, because the conditions of your visa has changed now, because now the consulate has received some information which was not available at the time of the visa stamping. Now there is a new information they have that probably you were involved in shoplifting or in a DUI, which probably might pose risk to the people in the United States. So they have discretion to take your visa back.
Right, right. Okay. Thank you very much. Now I go to Amit Bhai. Amit Bhai, do you have any questions for Praveen ji?
Yeah, thank you so much, Parveen ji. It's very informative. You're answering a lot of good answers here for our community. I'm going to stay with these violations and pitfalls that I'm going to call that. So I'm going to do a two-part again. And what are the most common unintentional violations that people on H1B, L, F1, B1, B2 do that they should avoid? What are the most common, mistakes they make? And the
Right.
second one is part of the same thing is there are a lot of misconception about what someone who is here on a B1, B2 can or cannot do. Because B1, B2 is basically tourist visa, right? And can they attend any business meeting, any conventions, or help in a company? So I just want to know what are some of the pitfalls so we can inform our audience, like, hey, do's and don'ts.
Perfect. Yeah, that's a great question. Very useful for the community. We get these questions time and again. So the common mistakes that I see based on my experience, number one, we all have to remember that any non-immigrant visa, B1, B2, F1, H1, L1, then J1, and any other visa type as such, is a discretion. So any violation here would impact their visa status. So the common mistakes that I see, DUIs, okay, driving under influence. It could be a birthday party, it could be a New Year party, it could be something. Then they would actually have this kind of a problem. So always avoid that. And in fact, that should be a norm that we all supposed to be avoiding, right? So this is a popular example. I give this to Amitji, to everyone, saying that 99% of the people who drink and drive, they always reach home safely. That's what we know, because that's what the friends say. I've been driving and going home all the time safely. But the 1% of the time that there would be people who would be in the accident and they would have the fatal accidents and repercussions for that. But who will be in that 1%? Who nobody knows, right? So try to avoid that situation because that's a violation. That's exactly what you all get into, and that impacts your immigration status also, besides the risk of life and other things. So always avoid that situation, and that's the reason why you have an organized way of going, having a safe driver for you, or having an Uber or something that we all have to be careful about. And another common mistake that I see is an unintentional shoplifting. And these are people who are earning maybe few $100,000 a year as a family, but still this happens. And most probably, if I really hear them out, is because probably they are distracted. So always we have to remember that when you're at the checkout counters, that you have to be focused, not get distracted with the phones or anything else, to make sure that this kind of violation does not, because your situation is entirely different, right? With the immigration laws implying, and that actually impacts your moral character, that impacts your visa, that impacts your future green card situations. Even though the law says that, okay, these are minor violations, CIMTs, which can be actually defendable, but the immigration authorities now in the current administration are arguing that these are actually something to judge your moral character and to use their discretion. So that's a different angle to that. And of course, anything, for example, domestic violences, then this always happens. Then we call the cops, and then it has, if it's a serious crime or a serious situation, you should always amount to. But those are the things that I commonly see, which are avoidable, which can be actually addressed with some consensus between us.
Thank you very much. Do you have
And
any?
the second question was mentioning about B1, B2. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, the B1, B2, what, what is do's and don'ts for B1, B2? Some of them come and they get in trouble. I have a case where somebody came and they say, oh, I'm doing internship at the doctor so-and-so, and you're on a B2, you can't do internship, right? So
Yes.
what are some of the do's and don'ts for people coming on B2?
Right.
Can they do some business? Can they not do it? Can they attend a trade show or not attend a trade show? Things like that.
Right. B1, B2 is visit for pleasure or business, right? You can come here for visit to really meet someone, like attend an event or occasional meeting if it is a business, right? So to put it in a layman term, I always use this example so that way we all remember it easily. That, for example, if a tailor is coming here, he can come here to take measurements, but he cannot stitch. Right? So while staying in the country, he can take measurements. That's business requirement, right? Then you go home and stitch. So anyone who is coming here on business cannot actually get employment, cannot actually try to actually work here. But otherwise, he can get the business requirements. He can talk with someone. I can get into a company. I can get into any place and try to understand your business, saying that, hey, I have a solution. Then I can provide a solution. Then don't provide a solution, but you go back and try to make that solution. And if you are here for a visit, then obviously you are here for a visit, then trying to actually meet people, spend time with your family, or visit places. So that should be a clear distinction between that. And I see time and again that parents come here for extended time every 6 months to stay with the family and try to take care of their grandchildren. And of course, that's a pleasure actually staying and spending time with the grandchildren and the children. But again, it should not be in a way that you present it saying that, hey, both my son and a daughter-in-law, or my daughter and son-in-law are doctors, then there's no one to take care of my grandson and I'm coming here. That should not be your answer. Right? So the way that I put it, you can come here for the measurements, not for stitching. If you are coming on a business visa, then you're coming here as a visitor to spend time with your family, to take pleasure. Absolutely fine. But if you're replacing someone to actually help someone and it creates an employment, then that's dangerous. So it all depends on how you present it.
So what you're saying is that, I mean, we have all gone through this situation where our parents came and helped out in raising our kids. And if we present it in a way that says that, okay, we could have hired a nanny, but my mom is here, she's taking care of it, that is a no-no, right?
That's
what
It's
you're
a
saying.
violation, right?
Yeah, that's absolutely the way you say it, because it's an indirect work. But again, 99% of the times, the situation that we are now discussing is that you want to spend time with the family, obviously, right? See, and especially if you have a grandchildren growing up and they are infants, toddlers, then that's the best time for anyone, any grandparents to be. So that's what they are. And of course, it comes with their responsibilities to take care of them and do certain chores and tasks. And that's not the whole purpose there. Their purpose is to spend time with the family and take pleasure in whatever the family is going through together. These are all milestones. So the way that you present it is important. And some people just they present it saying that, hey, I'm trying to actually get them to help me because we both are doctors.
Yeah, right. Lalitji, you are in DC again. I keep going back to you being in DC because we are here in Chicago. You are in the heartland there in terms of politics and policies. Uh, do you have any more question for Praveenji that is coming from the, that perspective, the DC policy side perspective for you?
Thank you, Avdansi, for hosting this wonderful show. I think there are a lot of questions for me and for other panelists as well to Praveenji. I think we need another session with him for this. But I have one quick one. Given the trend, have you seen the trend since September or last January when the new policies on immigration have been coming up every fortnight or every month? What do you see the next few rounds of policies that are coming up in the next few months?
Right. Very interesting changes that, especially for the F1 students. If I have to say, then H1, we discussed about it. It's getting really tighter for them, and especially for the H1Bs, they're going to be increasing the prevailing wages, because what the current administration is proposing is to raise the minimum wages that the employer is supposed to pay for the H1B workers. So that way, they become less competitive in the market. So that's how they're trying to define the H1B, and that's coming up. And for the F1 students, very interestingly, the current actually policy is to give an I-94 the period of stay as D by S. That means for the duration of status. So if a student comes here, they get a visa sticker for 5 years, and as long as they are registered in a school, they can continue to be in the school for whatever the time. Like, sometimes they start with an undergrad, go with the graduate studies as a PG, then probably go with a PhD or do a double master's. Then it might take 6 years, 7 years. Even though their visa sticker has expired, if they don't go outside the country, they can just continue studying here. And that they are trying to limit it by saying that it's a limited duration, they'll give it for 4 years. So the visa will be restricted for 4 years. Even the status for them to be here as a student will be 4 years. So that way, if you have to extend your course, if you have to extend for a different program, then you have to apply again within the US and try to seek that extension, which will be under scrutiny, because they will question you now, why are you doing the second master's? What is the relevancy of you going from humanities to sciences, or sciences to humanities, or to MBA? Then give the statement of purpose or explain your finances and other things. So those are very important critical changes that might come up in the next few months.
Thank you very much. Go ahead.
There will be term limit on students' visa.
Sorry, can you repeat, Lalitji?
You're saying now there is possibility of term limit on a student's visa, 4 years.
That is correct. So then you can always seek extension, but that has to be an application. Now today, it's not like that. It's an automatic D by S. That means as long as you maintain your F1 status, duration of the status, you can continue to be an F1. I know students who've been here for more than 6 years, 7 years, 8 years, because they've been pursuing PhDs. They came here for masters, then they went into PhD programs, and they're continuing to be on the PhD to complete their research. But that would be difficult right now because that is limited to 4 years. Then anything beyond 4 years, they are supposed to seek extension and permission from the government by filing a document. So that might be restrictive.
Wonderful.
Thank you very much. Neeravji, a quick question from you. I mean, first of all, since you are involved with community a lot, more than most of us here, what is one thing that you would like to ask Praveenji about that involves the community, like, regular people? And second question to you is that what are some of the resources as community member that we can provide to people who are looking for some help?
With everything that's going on, some may feel they have been wronged by a government agency. What recourse do those community members have?
Yes, absolutely. So there are precedents, there are cases where there is a civil action on certain violations like this. For example, an ICE officer puts a gun on someone thinking that probably he is a protester or whatever, but he might be just a hotel waiter that trying to actually help him to clean up his bathroom that he called for. And when he opens the door, he puts the gun on the forehead and then tries to threaten him. And there are cases where there are precedents where the courts have granted civil penalties. Okay. So these are the cases that definitely can be challenged, can be taken up whenever these things happen. If a US citizen or a green card holder was mistakenly identified and tried to put into this kind of situation. There is always a legal remedy for that. But before that, Niravji, this is my take that as a community, we have to engage in 3 E's. So one is education, engagement, and engagement with the enforcement authorities. So the way we try to actually do this is by educating ourselves as a community what is right, what is not, because there's a lot of misinformation which gets spread, because they say that, hey, I did it like this and we are fine, and they tell something and people follow that. So that has to be stopped, and probably getting the right education is important.
I think for
Engagement,
the right education, I think going to the right people is the best answer, like people like you.
definitely, as a community, then we all can actually do that engagement, like making sure that we spread the right education, talk with the people. Then through our organization, we should be able to do that. And the second thing is, people get isolated and they don't get engaged, because if I learn something on WhatsApp, on some reels, then that's what they think. And they don't verify this information. They don't talk with other community members. They don't come to the community centers. It could be a temple. It could be a something that where they have to just get engaged in a community center, try to understand what their rights are, what is the right thing to do. And of course, as a community, we need to also go talk with the enforcement authorities and try to educate them that, hey, this is our community, this is what we are, and these are the things that we end up doing for the community. Then it has to be looked in that perspective, right? Because not all the people might understand what our community stands for, even though since the current government in India has been highlighting us, and we have gained a lot of credentials across the globe, that the people recognize us much more than what it used to be earlier, right? But still, it becomes our responsibility at the grassroots to try to engage with the enforcement authorities, explain, and try to get that goodwill out of it. So that is how probably we can solve this problem. And of course, there's always an option to go with the trials, with the civil litigations, whenever this happens, whenever there is a negligence, and we should stand up as a community and support those causes, because that's our right to do it. And that's definitely something as an
Oh,
option.
absolutely. We will for sure do that. And I have few cases who has been treated so badly and get abused, and they are so scared to even going out, or going out of the country, or visiting even on vacation. So I will try to get together those people, and if we can educate this law enforcement agency, majority the ICE and Department of State, and if there is a there is some legal case can be filed, I will start and take a lead on it, and we'll go ahead and do it, because they should know how to treat the American citizen.
That is absolutely
They
correct.
need
And
to know.
actually, even as a national advice, even Immigration Lawyers Association and other organization, civic organization, they are suggesting to carry your immigration documents, because there's a lot of confusion going on. It can be an honest mistake sometimes from the authorities when they are enthusiastic to enforce the laws of the land, right? It happens. So understanding that part, probably if we do our part, carrying the right documentation. For example, US citizens, there is an option for you to get the passport cards. Not everyone is aware of it. Like, carry your passport cards in your wallets. That might really help sometimes. Again, is that really required as a right? No, you don't have to. You don't have to do that. But these are actually measures from our side as a defensive method to mitigate any risk that which might happen. Then green card holders carrying some documentation on them, maybe their approval notices or a copy of the green card or something. And green card is what recommended to carry all the time. But if you have fear of losing it, and probably having some method to do that. So those are the things to educate to start with. And of course, litigation is always an option as another way of trying to actually address these issues. But again, as a community, educating, engaging on each other's issues like this would definitely help us. And as a community, we should also address, go to the enforcement authorities, explain what we are. That way, we are supportive of what the actions that they're doing.
Thank you. Amit, do you have any question? Last
No,
question.
I just wanted to reinforce what Praveen ji said about the green card. It states you need to carry it with you on your person all times. And our community has a habit of putting it in a lockbox in a bank lockbox. It stays on the card. You have to carry with you. I remember that as a 17-year-old boy. Like, you have to carry this with you all the time. You know, that's the education. Hopefully, we can get across to people. Hey, we need to be also responsible. We need to be also taking care of things, so we don't get into situations we find ourselves in automatically because of this, the color of our skin, we want to call it. But yeah, we need to be also responsible citizens or residents.
Yeah. Yes, this has been very informative so far, Praveenji. Last question before I let you go. Can you tell us about some of the resources that the people in our community can use to, like website, or you mentioned your association of immigrant lawyers and all. Is there any place where we can go start just looking for resources?
Right. So to start with, I think uscis.gov is the right source to go and read any news about it, or any Department of State resources. These are all government resources that you go and seek information. And seek information from any community organizations. There are many community organizations within ourselves. It could be a temple too, that go and try to seek information. Then they might direct you to someone who is helping in doing this. And of course, talking with an immigration lawyer is very important. Then there is a lot of news around that the immigration law firms would actually do this every week, every now and then, and try to get actually hooked up to all these news channels. So that way you get the right information. For example, from my firm, we always send a newsletter out on every Friday. And we actually try to tend to give this newsletter to the organizations so that the organizations can spread to their members wherever there is relevant.
How can we subscribe to your newsletter for our viewers?
So any community, if there is a community.org, then we will send out, we'll add them to our newsletter as the president at that community.org, and they can take responsibility to spread it again to their members, for example. And of course, we can engage and try to do this webinars time and again, and try to also take FAQs. See, that's more important, that we talk with the people, and sometimes they feel shy to actually call and going through the appointment systems to talk with an attorney. So at least the general knowledge, then you are asking me a question, somebody else might get benefited because they are hearing you out, and they might learn through it. And hey, this makes sense, and this is how they relate. So these kind of engagements would really help us.
Very, very, very.
Would you mind sharing the website where we can do the sign up for the newsletter?
Yeah, my website is called bizlegalservices.com. It's bizlegalservices.com. And there is a news section on that, and you can always go there and subscribe, or send an email to me on Parveen at bizlegalservices.com. It's PRAVEEN at bizlegalservices.com.
We'll have those emails and websites when we publish this. So I'll request Mananji to take a note of it, and we put it on the screen when we publish it. It has been really, really wonderful and enlightening discussion, Praveenji. I'm sure there's a lot more to talk about it. And I'm also sure that we'll have you come back if you are willing to talk about this one more time. But again, very, very appreciative of your effort. And I'm sure a lot of people are getting help from this information. So thank you very much. Thank you, Lalitji, Amitabhji, and Neeravji for being my co-panelists here. And we'll see you again.
Sure.
Namaste.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Namaste.
Thank you, Praveenji.
Happy to
We
be
will
part
do
of it.
another episode for sure.